All right, I am here at Sylvan Island in the heart of Moline, Illinois, and it's a fantastic little island that you get to by crossing that bridge right over there. There's a mile perimeter that goes around the island, and there's a whole bunch of trails that go through the middle for hiking, for walking, for mountain biking, you name it. It's fun. There's people that fish here. There's people that actually camp here when they're not supposed to. There's a shelter that's been newly rebuilt, and the bridge has actually been rebuilt recently. It's a fantastic island. Okay, so from the Mississippi River Trail, you can ride your bike or walk right here to the Sylvan Island parking lot, which holds about 24 cars. There's a set of bathrooms there with water fountains that are open seasonally. And then you can follow the path down here all the way to the Sylvan Island Bridge. You can also enter the island from 1st Street and 1st Avenue, turning right into here, into the parking lot. Sylvan Island Gateway Park. There are 2 bathrooms and 2 water fountains here in this little facility right next to the parking lot. There's trash cans and picnic tables throughout the outer part of the park here before you actually get onto the island, as well as some nice landscaping. As we get closer to the center courtyard area here before actually entering the island, you'll see this nice statue that was created by David Zahn, a local artist, in memorial of John Deere, which is really a huge thing here in the Quad Cities, as well as the Sylvan Island sign here right before you enter the bridge. So there's the bridge, and around the outside perimeter here is the bike trail that goes around in a loop, but also goes all the way down there to the Mississippi River Trail. The bridge onto Sylvan Island was recently reconstructed a few years ago because it was unsafe for a few years, and they actually had it closed off. And the only way onto the island was via boat. So the bridge has been redone, and it still has that rustic look to it. And it's very nice and wide, and just a really cool architectural place about the island. Okay, as we exit the bridge onto the island, you'll see some signs for the hiking trails, as well as another little monument over here. And off to the left, there's a little visitors area that tells you about the history of the island, which we'll check out in a minute, and a newly constructed pavilion there with some picnic tables. From here, there's pathways that go different directions. That goes the outer perimeter trail, that goes through the middle, and this is also the outer perimeter trail. And it isn't within city limits here in Moline, so there is a leash law. All dogs must be kept on the leash. Newly constructed is this nice pavilion with some picnic tables. And over here, you got this new fountain. Doesn't really have a lot of water in it right now, but pretty cool. The Quad City Fork Group, FORC, is the one that maintains the trails here. Friends of Off-Road Cycling. All right, coming onto the island here, you can just keep going straight onto this main artery, right next to the little visitor center, and it'll go all the way to the end of the island, right through the middle. Along the way, you'll see this big cement slab here, along with some benches, and there's entrances to the trails here too, for mountain bikers or hikers alike. We're going to keep going. About halfway through this trail, we come to this nice open area here. The sun's shining. And lots of trails on both sides here of the main path. They go all over the island, and they can definitely get a little confusing. But you're not going to get lost and just head one direction. You'll end up off the island pretty quickly. Okay, as we end the short little path that goes through the middle of the island, you come out into this property that's the Rock Island Arsenal, and it is heavily, heavily fenced there with barbed wire and everything. There's a dam over there. It's the Rock Island Arsenal, which is a military installation, and you don't want to mess around there. But the path goes this way, or the path goes this way, which is part of the perimeter trail. So that's where we came from, is through the middle section. And now we're at the perimeter. We're going to head back and we're going to do the whole perimeter. So I've been visiting Sylvan Island for many years, way back before I was into fitness or running or biking or any of that. I'd come here and just do some hiking and exploring. So I've always loved trails ever since I was a little kid. But really everything kind of started in 2020 for me when I started mountain biking. And this is one of the first places I came to mountain bike. I actually did a race here called the Sylvan Island Stampede. And I come here frequently to mountain bike. But then I got into running and trail running and started trail running here. And I revisited the same trails as a trail runner. And it was just a whole new experience doing it as running instead of biking. But I love both. And I'd love here just coming here and do a hike or walk or whatever. It's a great place to explore and just enjoy getting away from the city, but you're still in the city, which is really nice. So the trails here on Sylvan Island are variable, very technical, but pretty flat. Trails everywhere, every which way you go, so you can easily get mixed up and retrace your steps and whatnot. But there are some good paths here. I got a really good race loop that I've done for a few years that takes you around most of the trails here. It's like 4.5 miles long and it covers almost everything. It's great. Okay, so here's the visitor center, which is located right when you get on the island. Has a lot of history and images and lots of stuff to read. If you want to know more about the history here on Sylvan Island, there's a lot of history. It used to be a steel factory here and whatnot, all the way back into the 1800s. So yeah, very interesting history. There's a map of the island, the old island. So the perimeter trail that starts right when you get on the island goes all the way around. I'm going to do it in a counterclockwise direction, and it's just over a mile long. So it's kind of perfect. And it gives you a good overview of the island, of how big it is. And then you can go on the inner trails from there if you want. As you walk along the perimeter trail, you'll notice that the power plant is off to the right there. I think that's owned by Mid-American Energy. And the Sylvan Slough there. And it's a nice wide path, packed down with gravel. The soil is very hardy, so even when it rains, you can come here. You're not really going to damage the trails or anything like that. And it's just starting to get beautiful here with the fall colors starting to turn, and it's really nice. Okay, not too far down, when you start the perimeter trail, you'll come to this crossroads here. That's where I came from. There's a trail there. There's a trail there. There's a trail there. There's a trail ahead. And coming up here on the right is the old railroad bridge, which is fenced off. Used to be able to walk on there and stuff, and I think people just got into trouble. So yeah, old railroad bridge that they used to use. And we're going to continue on the perimeter trail here. Okay, one of the most iconic locations here on the island is right here by the dam. Just finished the south section of the perimeter trail, getting ready to turn the corner here up this little hill, and you'll notice all this quote unquote artwork. Yeah, it changes frequently. The graffiti does. They have to come cover it up, and then someone comes and puts more on there. It's actually kind of cool to see. And there's also fishing locations down here. People go down there and fish and whatnot. Very popular fishing here on Sylvan Island, especially on a day like today. It's beautiful in the 70s, 60s and 70s. And yeah, we're going to keep going on the perimeter trail around the corner. So we'll check out the north and the east side here. All right, we're going to keep going here. I go up this little rocky hill to start heading the other direction on the island here as we continue our counterclockwise loop around the trail, around the island. And this will be the Mississippi River out there. Okay, as we start heading west here, and notice this big power line tower. We're actually going to go right underneath it, which is kind of cool here on the island. Okay, you'll find more trails off to the left here as we continue heading west on the perimeter trail. And right up here on the right will be a little lookout area and another garbage can, which is nice to see so you don't have to litter. So yeah, this is a nice lookout section here of the Sylvan Island Slough, which is part of the Mississippi River. And yeah, you can see all kinds of stuff from here. Downtown Moline. Across there is the Rock Island Arsenal. Got some wildlife out there. Very cool. And yeah, just go back and head back on the trail again. So as we continue down the perimeter path here, we are on the north side, which is a really long but easy path on this side with the benches along the way and outlooks and things like that. A good view of the river. And it's just a beautiful section of path here. Okay, coming up on another outlook here, overlook. Just like the last one. Not too far apart either, so just lots of facilities here and just makes it nice for doing whatever sorts of exploring you want to do. So this perimeter path is also what I would consider a very easy trail. It's very flat. It's nice and wide. Very few obstacles, maybe a few tree roots here or there, but not much of anything at all. So I feel like it's a great all-around trail for everybody. Okay, as we continue on the northwest pathway, we're going to veer off to the right here as we come to this little section where you can see the river pretty well. There's actually a little cement stairs here, and we'll walk down. And we'll come out here and see the Rock Island Arsenal property over there. All right, we're coming out to the place we were earlier when we went down the middle path and came to this fenced-in area, which is the Rock Island Arsenal property. And we're going to keep going on the perimeter path here on the northwest side and start heading back. So we're halfway through, a little over halfway through. So before we start heading around to the left here, we're actually going to go right over here to this little pathway that goes back down to the river again to get a better view of all these buildings and stuff. Also another very popular location, as you can see from the graffiti. But yeah, lots of rocks and a little beachy area and a great view of the little dam here. Actually a boater out there. And you can see much of the arsenal over there. Different buildings over there at the arsenal. Yep, pretty cool. And then along here you got lots of rocks, and this does flood very easily. Anytime the river goes up, it floods all the way up, so yeah. All right, continuing on here on the west side of the island, we'll come along this beachy area, which is very popular for people to hang out. Another garbage can there, which sometimes doesn't get used. You'll see trash all along here. It looks pretty clean today. But yeah, big open beach area that, like I said, does flood a lot. It comes all the way up to here a lot of the times. Not up to there usually, but definitely that whole area will flood. Not every year, but lots of times. Definitely is cool down here though. The path continues this way. You can walk along there if you want to, but it gets pretty soggy. This is a nice wide open area here. Trees lining both sides, but sandy area on the ground. If you want to veer off a little bit from the main path, you can go into this green area at your own risk, because it does get pretty soggy in here. As you can see from some of these footprints that are pretty sunk in, it's almost like quicksand sometimes. But yeah, it's kind of a cool view down here. I actually have a lot of really good memories here on Sylvan Island, all the way back to when I used to hike it and just enjoy the trails, because I've always loved trails. And then when I started mountain biking in 2020, all the discovery of the inner trails and discovering the race loop and all that, and then doing the Sylvan Island Stampede race here was fantastic and a lot of fun. And then I started trail running, and I started running all these trails, and it was like a new experience all over again. And then I just alternated between running and biking and walking, and just enjoying the great island that it is. And I've seen it flooded. I've seen it, in all seasons, in the middle of the snow when it looks like a winter wonderland and nobody else has been here. And I'd walk on it for the first time in the fresh snow. That's amazing. And I also had my biggest injury here back when I was trail running one day in December. It was a little bit wet, it had rained, and I was trail running in the inner island and just started turning a corner, slipped, twisted my ankle pretty badly. Thought I could just walk it off. Started walking back to the car. Didn't work out too well. Ended up having to go to the therapist and all that stuff, and it really changed my whole trajectory for a while. But it never took away my love for the island, and I came back and did the same things again, and I continue to do it to this day. Okay, here on the west side of the perimeter trail, there's an intersection with a lot of other trails, parts of the inner loops and things like that, that you don't want to miss. There's some fun trails in there, but the perimeter trail continues here on the west side. And then eventually we'll round the bend and head back towards the entrance. Okay, at the end of the west side here, closer to the south side, you can either go to the left or you can go to the right. The right's going to continue the perimeter trail. The left is going to be a little bit of a shortcut to get you back, but we're going to continue to the right here, which will go around. Okay, on the south side here, there's plenty of little trails that go down to the slough. We're just going to take this one down here where there's some people fishing down here. And you can see a bunch of stuff down here. Water is moving pretty quickly. Yeah, nice places to fish and just to check out the water. We're gonna get back on the perimeter trail. Okay, this last portion of the perimeter trail is pretty much out in the open, as the sun is on the south side over here. So it's a little bit warmer over here. Got a nice bench facing into the sun here, and more trails that go into the island, which we'll check out later. But yeah, it's just nice and kind of sandy, rocky, very easy to walk on, and quite beautiful. Another one of those nice overlooks here on the south side. I'm gonna check it out real quick. Get a nice view of the bridge that we came over to get onto the island. Water is moving pretty fast. Okay, getting back on the perimeter trail here, right next to the pavilion and the visitor center. We're gonna finish up our trail here. Okay, we finished the whole entire perimeter trail. There's the middle trail that went through the middle of the island. Here's where we started, right here at the bridge. We went off to this direction and went all the way around and came out right over here by the pavilion and the visitor center. Very cool. Walking back across the bridge. And then we will go back on the island and look at the inside of the island. Okay, as you exit the island bridge, you get back on the bike path and head either direction along the bike path. She'll take you all the way to the Arsenal Bridge, Centennial Bridge that way, all the way down to Sunset Park in Rock Island. Or you can continue that way and go off to the left and go all the way up the river to Savannah, Illinois, which is like, 60 something miles. Or you can just go up to one of these other paths and get back into the parking lot.